So we're holding over here that Elikai is Kelo both Pirushim. Two in Yonim Hafachim. One of the Elikai is Meloshin Keach. And the Nakud of Keach is not an Indian which comes from the Makar, mitzad the Tnu of Gili of the Makar, but an Indian which is mitzad the fact, mitzad this Almas HaMakar. The whole function of Keach is Neveh mitzad the Tnu of that the Makar is Na'ifin of Helam, which we'll see later. It's not just that Keach is an Indian mitzumsum, and therefore it's less Meir the Milas Helyon. Then it's not opposite. Opposite means that it's a opposite focus. The Indian of Keach is not the Tnu of his Galas HaMakar, but the Tnu of that the Makar is pale in a way of his almos dafke, of hiding himself, of blocking himself from the Ashpa. Mashiach and Eir is opposite. Eir is in Yoni Gili HaMakar. So Lamer Zem are halten by the Indian of. So the Rebbe says in order to explain the Mile of Keach, the fact that the Lekai is Kelo both in Yoni, is because there's a mile in both. There's a mile in Eir and there's a mile in Keach. So therefore, the Tevis Lekai is Kelo both in Yonim, that in Elokus you have both miles, side the mile of Eir and side the mile of Keach. So now, in order to understand the mile of Keach, the Rebbe's first makdim, there's the Indian of Eir v'Shem. And the Musik of Shem is also said the Gabi Malchus, because the Yachas of the Anshe Medina to the Melech is that Shmei Nikra Aleim. It's not that the Anshe Medina, the Am, contains within themselves, they don't have a Shaykhas to the Mehusa Melech. The relation between the Melech to the Am is, what exists from the Melech and the Am is only the Shem HaMelech, that they belong to him. Shmei Nikra Aleim, it's his Malchus. And in order to understand the Mile of Keach, we have to first explain the Mile of Shem. From understanding the Mile of Shem, we'll understand the Mile of Keach. That's the. So Lamer halten da when we get to Eir. Lamer Zen. I don't know exactly which word we started, but Yesh Hefresh ben Eir l'Shem. Eir hu Gili, hu betvekes nekeres. Eir in Yoni is the Gili HaMakar. The Rebbe is going to be mefared. It means that the in Yoni of Eir is that through the Eir, the Makar is Nizgale. The Makar becomes visible and open and aware of. And the Eir is Bidvekus Nekeres. That means his whole Metzias is that it doesn't have an independent, there's no identity in Eir. Dvekus Nekeres is that his Metzias Begoli is Dvekus. And the Nakud of Dvekus is it doesn't have an independent, identity outside of the fact that the Makar is Nizgal. It's not a Dover Haba Mina Makar. Shame is a certain Indian which comes from the Makar. So it's also Dovik, which we'll see later, but it's Bidvekus built in Nekeres. That means that the Metzias Hashem is not Vekas. There's an Indian, a Metzias, which stems from the Makar. You have Seichel and Midas. So Midas stem, you have a Makar which from the Makar initiates something. The Makar is a Makar for a Metzias. Then the content, there's the Makar, and then there's a Metzias which comes from the Makar. That's not Vekas. Vekas means that the Metzias which comes from the Makar doesn't have its own Indian. It's Davuk, it's one, it has no independent identity outside of the Makar. That's the Vekas. So Eir is not a Metzias was vert from the Makar. The Nakud of Eir is that the Makar is Nizgala. There's nothing here besides for the Makar itself. What is Eir? The Izgalas HaMakar. That the Makar is open. The Makar is mispashet. Oh, so that's it on the Rebbe. The Eir Megale is HaMoir. Wo zet man das? Sharei Eir Niker begili mo Eir Aner, Eir Eirech, Eir HaShemesh, Eir Hayem. If you look at the Eir, it's Niker, means it's visible. It's not that you have to, there's one Eifin is, in everything, any Metzias which comes from a Makar, through being Ma'ayin and the Metzias which comes, you'll be able to identify certain tchunis in the thing which related to the Makar. You say Seichel is a Makar from Midas. So in the Midah, you're going to be able to tell the Seichel which was made of the Midah. If it's a Midah of Ava, so you're able to tell that the Makar is a Makar which was being misbein in the Taiv of the Indian. But that's not the Nish das that the Rebbe does. Midas is a Metzias of Shneyatzmam. You're able to tell in everything the Makar where it came from. That's something else. Here the Rebbe is saying when you look at Eir, you look at the Eir which is mispashet lesser from the Neir, it's Nikir Begilei that it's the Neir is being mispashet. Why? Because the Eir is not another Metzias which comes from the Neir. If it was another Metzias, so you could look at the Metzias and not be aware of the Makar which is the Makar of this Metzias. But Eir, it's not shaykh to say that you should see the Metzias and not recognize, not see the Makar, because there is no Metzias which came from the Makar. The Chatchil of the whole Metzias is the Hizgalus of the Makar. So if what is Eir? There's Galas HaMakar, so when you see the Eir, automatically you see the Makar, which is being Nizgala in this Eir. So when you see the light of a candle, right away you see that there's a candle here, which it's being mispashtus. The light is its mispashtus. Oh, there's Eir Eirech, Eir HaShemesh. Yeah, Eir Hayem. I'm not sure what Eir Eirech and Eir HaShemesh and Eir Hayem, but that's Nachayinyin. Yeah, we know of Eir HaShemesh, exactly what's Eir Hayem. There's no light of the day outside of the light of the sun. But this is a bezunder parsha. Oh, so what's the pshatak the Eir Nikr Begili? It's not through being misbeinen in the Eir. What is is the mucker being nisgala. So it's not something. There's no two things. There's no something which comes from a mucker. There is no something. It's the mucker being nisgala. So when you see the gili, you see right away the mucker, because this is the whole mitzvah gili. This gala some mucker. The fee was Shabbat. Where does it say here? Within the air, the mucker air is bizgalas. Yeah. Kumeisha air atzmi. Who gili the same with the air itself. It's not a mitzias was vert from the mucker, but it's the gili. The mucker is fully open and visible in the air, because the whole mitzias air is this galas hamucker. Hinikein hu gam pu'ulas badavar hamur. You have in every Indian you have the mashpia, you have the mucker, you have the ashpa. What they say emanates from the mucker, and you have the mekabel, which is mekabel the ashpa, or which is affected by the ashpa. The mucker, the Indian which comes from the mucker, and the way this Indian is nirgash by mekabel. So the Rebbe is saying in Legabi there's never a tnua of removing yourself from the mucker. Other than you have seichel amidas, let's say. So you have, let's say, the seichel is the mucker from midas, and then Legabi, since someone's going to say with amidas ava, so the result is going to be that an ani is going to be mekabel tzedakah from him. So the ani which is mekabel tzedakah is not necessarily going to be aware of, or it's not nirgash there that it comes from a seichel. For him, what he's margish is a kind person which he gave me a pruta, because the chatchila from man stammt is because the chatchila the ashpa comes in a way that there's a removing itself from the mucker itself. There's the mucker. For the mucker comes a certain Indian, and that Indian has an effect on a mekabel. So it's possible for the mekabel to be margish the Indian, but not being margish the mucker of the Indian. Where there is no mitzias outside of the muckers being nisgale. So when the air is nirgash by a mekabel, when the mucker is becoming more idea air, there's the shemesh is a source, the resource darton of light. Then this source could be an eifin of etzim, be an eifin of mucker, which is higher than gilui. Gilui means that the Indian is felt and is nirgash. It's nisgale. It's open. If it's open, it means that there's some type of. It was already. It came into some form of expression. The etzim itself is beyond expression. It's the etzim Indian beyond any eifin of expression. So you have and then you have the way the expression is nirgash by mekabel. So in every tnua, there's always nirgash that it's the mucker. That's what the Rabbi says here. Gam pu'ulas badavar hamur me'er. Shebadavar hamur mimenu niker umumur me'er aner. There's a different nature. The way the ner is me'er the Indian, the way the shemesh is me'er the Indian, and snicker right away. If you look at the mukim, which is becoming more there, you're able to tell it's recognizable in the thing itself. That's Hashemesh is gemacht, because there's never a tnu of yitzim and a mucker. It's not the mucker the way it's giving space to an Indian. It's always the mucker's isgalus. So there's never a tnua, even when it comes to the state of being nirgash the mekabel. It's always meir begali that it's the mucker being nisgali here. It's the mucker affecting, because there's no tnua of yitzia of mitzias outside of the mucker itself. So that's when you get to lamata. So another verta. What is lamata? Lamata is stammt from them that is gilu. Is that it reveals its mucker. It's the isgalus of the mucker, and that's so. What vasparat tnu from which tnu in the mucker does the air come from? It comes mitzad them. It's not that there's one state the mucker is. There's his Indian, and now something being dispatched from it. It's being a source of something else. It's giving space for another. Seichel is there's the content of seichel itself. Then there's the fact that seichel is mechayev amida. It's two separate inyan. There's the etzim Indian of seichel, and then there's seichel being a mucker for a regesh. It's not chazal. But it's not that there's the mucker and then there's giving space for expression. It's always the mucker. It's the mucker express. It's the mucker being nisgal. So there's no nisinus mucker now for him. It's not that there's the mucker, his Indian, and then there is giving this being a mucker for something else. The whole tunu of is the mucker's nisgalis. It's the mucker and being mispash. Saldera salamala is alvazach. Kumekin ugam binin erlamaila shubchinas gilu. Erum ein amar. So first of all, from the there's the likid is me'ain the etzim of the Eibishter. That means through the air is the etzim is Isgal. That's the pshat gili. Gili means that it's the Isgalus of not another mitzias is vertfinem, but the Isgalus of the Makar. And if you say that air is gili amakar, what does that mean? That what's the pshat air? Gili amakar. What does that mean? That the Makar is Isgalus. That means that the Makar is atzmos. That means that atzmos is in a state of gili. And from dort stammt in air. Where does air stem from? Where does in a gili come from? That the Makar is in a state of openness, in a state of Isgalus. That in Atzvus Olukus, there's the aspect that he's in a state of his galus.
Yeah. It's pula in Makabal another step, or
Everything. There's the poil, there's the etzem inin of air, and then there's the fact that it's the etzem tnua that it's mispashit, and then the way it affects a makabel. Verstehe, but the poil, the makabel is being margish this air. Good, it's all one tnua. Verstehe. Instead of saying begili, it's not. Oh, this negate this word. I mean, let's see what the Rabbi says here. Eilu mein amor. Let me say. We say them so not sure. Later, who later mein amor, lo gam mein hanan shva asmish ein b'chinas amor. The Rabbi goes through. In other words, amazot mein amor. What says? From vanich. In other words, like this. If you say that was a mitzias that comes from the makir, so it's shaykh to say that atzmas has you say a nivra lamata, it's in a nivra mugbal. So it's seichos mechayv amida. So from seichel comes amida midas abba. So you say that seichel could only be a makir for amida if seichel has a shaykhs to midas. If seichel is totally mushas from midas, but amida is kumah for them. But the Gabi David, let's say, if the Nukud of air was a Metzias, was vert from the Meibish, and was vert from the Metzim, you see, the Atmos is mufshis from the whole gather of air. He's beyond the whole concept of his galus. But from him, anything could come from him. David is not Mukbal, anything could come from him. So the Indian of Midas could also, even though he's not in the form of having a Shaykhas to Midas, he's mufshit betachlis, but it's not Shaykh to say that a Midah, that something cannot come from David. Anything can come from him. He's not Mukbal in anything. But here we want to say, so here we're saying that what is Eir? Eir is not something which comes from the Makir. It's the fact that the Makir is not Tnu of Gilu, that the Makir is Bizgalis. That means that the Tnu of Eir Heipzichan and Atzmos. That Eir comes from the fact that Atzmos is also a Makir, is also a Moir. If I state the meaning. If Eir was something which comes, so you can say that the Makir is totally mufshit from this Teitzah. The Makir is Pashav Tawas Abshittis. But since the Eibush is beyond saying any definition, anything could come from it. But if you're saying that what's Eir? Eir is not a Metzias was vert from etzem. Eir is this galus hamakir, that the makir is begilu. That means that the makir, which is etzem, has this inyan within himself that is begilu.
Eir lamata doesn't have it. It's not the same thing as Eir lamata. Eir lamata, Eir mein amor, but it has the inyan of hisabas also.
Balzen. We're going to go through. No. Balzen inyan. So what's the pshat? From Vanet, so in the marshal pack, from Vanet kumtis the tnu of gilui. What's the pshat? You have certain. Certain inyanim, certain things don't have the quality of mar, and certain things do contain the quality of mar. The meaning of mar is this music of Ermein Amar that you have this galus hamakir. We don't have that in every type of makir and ashpa. You have it in Eir Hashemesh lamata and Eir Hanevesh lamata. The zgula of a mar is a specific inyan that not every makir has. What's the zgula of the nukuda of mar? You have the marshal pashta. So you have the Chassidus brings a dogma of Eir Sheva just to bring out this point. You have the marshal. You say just to bring out this nukud like this. Let's say a Rav is mashpia seichot haTalmud. So you have the Rav is meach is a higher level than the Talmud's meach. The Rav is let's say edel meach. The Talmud's level is the Talmud has a meach a nidriker darga for meach. So now the Rav versteht the Gewissen. He understands a certain svara. The way the Rav, since the Rav has a meach dak, so he understands the dak in the emek inyan. Is it shaykh to say that since you have the inyan, the way it's moving in Seichel Rav, automatically you'll be mispashed that the Talmud will also understand it. So since you have the inyan the way it is in the meach Rav, the Mela it's not Bemela. The inyan the way it is in the meach Rav is an edel svara, and the Talmud is not a keli to an edel svara. In order to explain this idea to the Talmud, you'll have to be mitzamtzimit. You'll have to be masberet in a way that relates to the Talmud. You're going to have to create that the svara should suit the Talmud. It's not that when you have it the way it is in the Rav state, automatically it's going to be nirgash by the Talmud. It's Shaykh Hazagna means every Indian is mukbal its tchum, and you have the Rav has the seichel the way it is by the Rav is an edel svara. An edel svara has a great ma'ila, but it has the chisaron that it can't be meir, it can't be nirgash by a Talmud which does not have a mayach dak. The Rav is going to have to be mitzamtzim the svara. Eir Hashem also should have been the same thing. The way it is by the Shemesh is a mocker for Eir. Always the makir has the inyan in a higher eifin than gilui. Gilui is that the inyan is already being expressed. If something's being expressed, that has to have some type of form, some type of metzias. It's nitfas. It's being expressed. It's being nirgash. The etzem has the nukud of beyond an expression. It's the source of it. It's the etzem in an the way it's beyond a specific form of expression. So the makir is a higher form of having light than the way it is begilui. So the churda what Gadar Zayin that the makir, in order for the way it is in the makir to be made and vel, to be expressed, it should have to go through a tzimtzum. It should have to be mitzamtzum itself, and to lower the energy of light, that it should be masim to a form of expression. Lepel is nishas. If we say that to then it wouldn't be air. If it would be that the inyan, the way it is in the makar, is in a higher eif, and in order for the inyan to, let's say the inyan, the way it is in the makar, is beyond expression, and in order for the to come to a level of there should be a way of expression, a way of gilui, it has to be mitzumtzum, then the would be another mitzias outside of the mar. The same you say in Seichel Rav and Seichel Talmud. The idea, the way it's understood by the Rav, the idea, the way it's understood by the Talmud, is not the same idea the way it is by the Rav. Now you have two versions of this svara. You have the svara the way the Rav understands it, and you have the svara the way the Talmud understands it. Then it's not Mein Amor. Then it's not that the svara of Talmud is the Isgalus of the Seichel Rav. Isgalus means that there's no other mitzvahs outside of the fact that the Seichel Harav is being mispashal. It's his Isgalus. It's not his Isgalus. It's this in a lower version. In a mitzumtzum dekaif. It's not his Isgalus. It's another version of the. So you have certain inyanim that even though they're an etzem, means they're beyond expression, but they're not mukbal to be dafka in a way of etzem, or beyond expression. They have the mohos not in a limited way. Therefore, they could automatically be expressed also. That's the zgula of mar. It's a certain, say, on a kud of hedrak bala which the makar contains. Or certain hedrak bala that he's not limited to have his energy, let's say, to have his quality. Only in an edela form or in an etzemtika form, he's not limited to be dafka in an etzemtika form. He could be mela also be, he can stay in his galus. He could be in his galus. His inyan is not contained only in a form of etzem. That's a certain zgula, that's a certain mile. So, from Vanach stamp the fact that is gili amakar. What does it mean gili amakar? That the makar is naif of gili. Where does that stem from? So it's a true in the makar. That the makar is in a true of gili. That he's a mar. So al if you say that you have the inyan of lamayla, what's the pshat inyan of that the makar is vizgalus? That means that you have this inyan in atzmos. That atzmos is a makar. That atzmos is a mar. That that steht begili. Steht vizgalus. Und von dort stammt in der Erde. That's what I'm saying. You can't say that the etzem is mufshat the gami from everything. Svert von emagili. What do you mean svert von emagili? The whole pshat of gili is that the makar is open. So it stems from that atzmas is naifin of a mar. So in etzem there's the tnua that is not mukbal tidafka naifin of etzem. Merkaneicha shtein begili. So for the fact that there's a musik of means that in the makar there's this tnua that the makar state bezgalos. That he's in a way of, even though he's an etzem, he's also an eifin that he's mispashit. Now, so that's for sure that in the lemaila it's meir the fact that the etzem is a makar. You say mein amar. Through the is this galas amakar. Which aspect of atzmos is meir in It's meir that the fact that the Eibusher is a mar. This inyan in etzem that he's bicholti to be begilui, that inyan is gal in That's where stems from. That's where comes from. The tnu and etzem that is naifin of gilui. But the shaila is there's other inyanim in atzmos that have nothing to do with the fact that not the tnu is hagilui in etzem. Like you say, this is the mashal when you get to Eir HaShemesh has this aspect when it comes to light. So the Eir HaShemesh is the makar for Eir. He's the etzem of Eir. But he has Eir not in a limited form. The Eir is also mispashal. But so legabit in Eir, there you have this smile where the makar is not limited to be dafka in a way of etzem. But you have other aspects in the Shemesh, for example. The Shemesh, the Rambam says, has a deep havana of asag and holocaust. Are you going to say there that likud in the air that's also mispashet in the air? The fact that the Shemesh has havana of asag and holocaust, that's not mispashet. And that's not that inyan of the havana of asag. There's no mile of his galus. So that inyan taka, the air doesn't stem from that inyan. The air doesn't. The fact that the makar is mispashet is because there's an inyan in the makar. A certain mile that he can be mispashit. That inyan is a mile in the inyan of air. But in the inyan, the fact that the Shemesh has a savan of asagan olikus, there's no mile of his galus. And that tnu is shtetish biz. That's not in a gili. That tnu has nothing to do with gili. And that taka shtetish biz galus. That's their own personal havana. So then, as speaking to get to atzmos, the fact that there's a musik of air comes from the fact that the makar is not tnu of gili, is galus ha-makar. But which aspect of the makar is the air does the air stem from? The air stems from the fact that the etzem also has the mile of mar. He has this virtue that he's not only in himself, that inyan the air is megal, the fact that the etzem kanech shtein beis galus. But the fact that atzmos is other inyanim in atzmos, that he's built to mitzias nimtz, or other says ain't safe inyanim in atzmos, that's nish von dort stammt in the air. Not the fact that the Eibusher has this mile that he can be beis galus. Other inyanim that the Eibusher has. He can be mahava yesh ma'ayin be'efes hamuchot. Other inyanim and atzmos. So that should not be reflected in the air, because the air doesn't stem from there. The air stems, what's air? Gidei makar. Which tnu in the makar is that the makir is bezgalus. But the aspect, the element that you say, the nekudas and atzmos has nothing to do with the inyan agilishubay, other inyan. So that l'chor is not reflected in the air. So if them sagt Rebbe, that's nicht das.
He's missing the gilui, and therefore it has to come up as galus. These inyanim.
I don't get what you're saying.
These different inyanim, they can't be with galus.
It's not a shalom, they can't. It's not, their inyan is not, is because that the makir is bezgalus. So the stems because there's an inyan in the makir which in yana is bezgalus. These it could have of the fact that the Eibishter is chveis ainly ili v'siba shekot malay. That's in yana is not gili. In yana is not that the makir is not true of bezgalus. Nish das the inyan. It's an under inyan. They're not. That's something else. They're not limited in anything. We'll see later. The atzmos is not limited in. I mean, if you speak lamata in the mashal, so if the shemesh would not have this trua as a state beginning, there wouldn't be in the makir of being open. So there wouldn't be the in of air. Stems from the fact that the makir is bezgalus. Those in yanim and shemesh have nothing to do with gilui. His own personal yanim, nothing to do, not the qualities of being begilui. Another yanim. So that's takanam espashal.
So is it the full makir bezgalus?
It's not the yanim and the shemesh are not shachas together. Takanam bezgalus. Only the in of air is begilui. That's not again. What I'm saying is, I'm going to what the Rebbe sagt. Mein Amar. So from the is kentig the Mar. We say them is okay. I have this marketing given. The Rebbe wants to bring out it's the mile of So the is the Hisgalus HaMakir. We say them is not only Sha'iru Derek Mein Amar, not only the through Vert Hisgal. The fact that the Eibishter is Amar means that aspect in the Makir, which the Makir is Hisgalus. That the fact that the Eibishter has this the mile as a kenshtin begilui, that he's not mubal to that kind of even kenshtin begali. That's this gali in air. Gam me'ein hanyanim sheba atzmos she'eini b'chinas mar. Also those hanyanim and atzmos which the gabi them being begilui is not an inyan. It's not there's no inyan of being this gali. See, that doesn't because the Eibishter is not mubal, anything can be begilui. That since he's not mubal, anything can come begilui. But then the fact that he's begilui is not because. It's not neveim, it's the fact that the makir is bezgalus. Here the Rebbe is saying that the stems from the fact that the makir, that there's this inyan of gilui. There's inyan of that the makir steht in the trunuf in his galus. That inyan, that is a mile, that the makir steht in the trunuf in his galus, that's one inyan. Then there's other inyanim and asmas which legabi them, the inyan of the makir being bezgalus is not an inyan legabi them. Wie versteht das inyan? Lass mal sehen, was da steht. Let's see a few aces will be a little bit more. It's like this. Hine les zeu ikra lukus masha ilmes meshavim mimel. V'yeshnam kama v'kama inyanim ba'atzmos adin seif. V'chol inyanim ilu nimshachim gam ber. Is the lashon al Rebbe says in Kovetz that les zeu ikra lukus masha ilmes meshavim mimel. That you say the Eibishter is buried ilmes by nivraim. So the greatest mile that can be metayr is the fact that the Eibishter is able to have a yesh ma'im. A nivra can't be mahavi yesh ma'im. Mashiach the Eibishter is biyachol lahavas yesh ma'im. So the gabi nivraim, it's a gedula nefla, being able to be mahavi yesh ma'im. But that's only the gabi nivraim. It's a ma'im. The gabi the Eibishter being mahavi nicht in them, that doesn't express his gadlus. Nicht in them besteht sein Greiskeit. The amitis in ein seif the gabi our masagim. So the ultimate what a nivra is able to be messiah blik vol is that he's not limited. He's able to create something from nothing. That's from our point of view. That's the ultimate where a nivra is able to be messiah was blik vol. But the gabi the amitis ein sof being mahavi yesh ma'im doesn't express at all the amitis ein sof. So there are derech, like I say, when you get to the Ataras Lashon and look at the Torah. Leis zeu ikra lukus. Nicht in them bringt Chareis, der Eibishter is godless in them, as I can bashafen, yesh ma'im. The true musik of Ein Seif is beyond being expressed in this true approach as being Mahavi yesh ma'im. So derech zeh, there's a mile of Moir. What's the mile of Moir? That a mocker is not mukbal. That's the mile of Moir. What's the mile of what's the nukudah of Moir? That the mocker is not limited to be dafke na efen of etzem, that's a certain tnu of not being mukbal. Most inyanim besides for shemesh and nefesh, in most inyanim in Ephraim, the mocker only contains its resource, its energy only in a mukbal geif. Mashik in a mar means that he has his resource not in a limited eif. He's not mukbal that he has to be dafke na efen of etzem. So nicht in dem besteht the ultimate musik of the Eibishter's mile. The Eibishter's amitas ain't safe. And the gabi him moir leizau ikar alakus mashahu moir. The fact that it's blik vol. There's a certain, you say, mile of bleak vol, which is expressed in the fact of being a Moir, but nicht in dem besteht, damit es ein Self of Atzmas. So there's many other Inyanim in Atzmas, outside of the fact of Makar being Begili. And Shalei Berach higher than the idea of bleak vol, which is expressed in the Inyan of Moir. The Inyan of Moir expresses a certain bleak vol of the Makar, but that doesn't, nicht in dem besteht, and was besteht Atzmas, that he's mugbal, which is expressed in the fact that he's able to be Meir, be able to be Misfach. That his Inyan is not mugbal to Nuah Betzim. There's Inyanim Nefloim Adin Kates. Shalei Berach higher than the mile of Makar, which Atzmas contains. And the Eibush is Neisa. Any form of mila that could be in a Makar, the Eibush is Kedel. Inyanim in a Makar, which Shalei Berach higher than the fact that a Makar could be begun. But the Inyan Ha'er doesn't come from there. From wann stammt Inyan Ha'er? The Inyan Ha'er is never from the fact that Atzmas contains the mile of Mar. You can't say that. What I'm saying, what I'm saying is, you say that Etzem has nothing to do with the Legabe Atzmas. Mar is not an Inyan. He's not a Mar. It means the idea of being Nisgale, that, let's say, Musig, let's call it Bleak Vol for now, but this Inyan of Bleak Vol is not an Inyan Legabe him. He's not Bleak Vol, he's beyond Bleak Vol. So from Mana stammt comes from the fact, Gili comes from the fact that the Makar is not true of his Galas. That means you have the Inyan of Bleak Vol the way it is in Atzmas. But nicht in dem besteht was Etzem is. There's Nyanim Neflaim Adin Kate, which have nothing to do with the Inyan of Gili. The same way we say when you get to the Shemesh. Why is the fact that the Shemesh understands or is Meshaber to the Eibusher, why is that not big Gili? Because the Gabi, that Inyan, Gili is not a Maila. There, the musik of not being Mugbal is not a Maila, the Gabi, that Inyan. The musik of not being Mugbal is a Maila. It's not a Maila, the Inyan of it's a Sahavana Basagat Alakus. I'm saying, so the Inyan of Gilui, that too is not connected to the musik of Gilui. So Al Derez is to go to Eir Lamaila, from wann stammt Inyan Eir, that the Makar is Bez Galos, that comes from the fact that Atzmas is a Moir. He has the Inyan of Bleak Vol. From mitzad the fact that he has the Inyan of Bleak Vol, he's not only an Eifin of Etzem, he's also an Eifin of Gilui. So that's the Inyan of Bleak Vol, let's say, the Inyan of Hamar Shabai, that's Nizgala through Eir. But other aspects in Atzmas, the fact that the Eibusher is built in Mitzias Nimsa, or the fact that the Eibusher is Ainli Ilav V'Siba Shekad Malek, that he's beyond any form of, he's not connected to any Inyan. So he's not connected to any Inyan, and what does it do with Gili? Why would Inyan Gili? The Musik of Gili also is he's not connected to the Musik of Gili either. Let's say you say the Atzmas is Shlilas Kol HaTayr. You can't say any Inyanim Legabi. There's only him. There's no ideas. There's no Inyanim. There's no Milas. So for that Inyan has something to do with Gili. That's not going to be a source of Gili. It's the Inyan. Its Inyan is not the Makar being Begili. Legabi that Meratish Legedem Bechlal. Legabi that aspect of Atzmas not being limited in any Inyan. Gili is not an Inyan. If I state the Inyan. That's the problem that Rebbe is going to do. Oh, so the Rebbe says here, that's what the Rebbe says. Hine, Leiza, we call because Mashiach Masavim. And the Mela, what the Rebbe means over here is that there's Leiza, Ikara, Atzmos, Mashu Moir. The Yeshnam Kam, the Kam Inyanim Ba Atzmos, Adin Seif. V'chol Inyanim Elu Nimshachim Gam Ba'er. Atzmos Nimshachan Er. But the Rebbe is Mechalik, even though everything is Nimshachan Er, Inyani of Er is, Inyani Ikri of Er is, this galus of the aspect that Atzmas is a Moir. It's very important. And it means, where does Er stem from? Er stems from the fact that Etzem is a Moir. But after they can't outfit this gal in Er, we're going to see soon. But from wann stammt in Er? From the fact that the Makar is in the Tnu of Gilui. That's where Er comes from. The Makar in the Tnu of Gilui is because Legabi the Makar, Gilui is an Inyan. Gilui is there's an Inyan of the Makar being Biz Galus. That's the Inyan of Moir. But then there's other Inyanim and Atzmas, which Legabi them, the whole idea of Gili doesn't exist. So you can say, so from that Inyan, the whole Musik of Gili doesn't exist Legabi that Inyan. So then sagt der Rebbe weiter, it says, okay, this line, we'll see what's the, Barak HaShekach, Oli Bertzeni is Barech, HaSheshari, HaInyanim, Yu, Behelim, Behester, Be'er, Barak Inyan Ha'er, Vagili, Yi, Vagili. Al Behelim, Yeshnem, Bekol Inyan. Saying the push of the Pirush Shemos that it says over here is that Be'etzem means the Eibush is not movable in anything. So Be'etzem, anything could have been his Gala in there. All Inyanim of Atzis could have been an Eifin of Gili. All they were saying that the Inyan Hamor should be Begili. Means the Inyan Hagili, the Inyan Ha'er, the fact that the Atzmas has the Zgula of being Meir, that should be in his Gala in there. And the other qualities of Atzmas should be Behel. It sounds like Be'etzem Er doesn't relate to the Musig of Moir, more to the other Musig. That's the Lashon that the Rebbe says here. But Etzem, the Inyan Ha'er doesn't relate to the fact that Atzmas is a Makar. Means, what is Er Megala? That in Etzem there's the mile of being Be'ez Galas. That the Eibishter has this quality that can be Be'ezgalus. So the Rebbe sounds like is Be'etzem wollte gekennst sein that all the inyanim of that shouldn't be connected after to the musik of Gilui. In atzas nimshach. All the inyanim in atzas. Kach ole b'rtzoni that the musik of v'gilui, that should be his mitzias, that should be Gilui. It means that the fact that the atzmas is a mocker, that should be his inyan to be megal of that aspect. And the other inyanim should be hidden, should be behelim, not the mitzias of what it is. If I state the meaning, but it's not stam as a kach ole b'rtzoni. You'll see in a line further. It's not stam kach ole b'rtzoni.
Is it also?
I just want to explain this point. If I state the bisel dominion, it's not stam as a kach ole b'rtzoni. Like in other words, you have this a little bit in the Ar and Tashmim Zayin, but the Nekulas Advarim is that as if by Nivraim we have this. What's the musik of it? Gili Amakir. Gili Amakir can only come if there's so that's because the Makir Gili is an Indian the Gabi the Makir. If as I was saying before, the Gabi say Dartnim with the Indian Gili is not a mile, so the Makir doesn't contain the quality of Gili. You can see the Gabi Atzmas coming to Shvegim Keshaybus, even though he's beyond the whole musik of and the Gabi him being Bizgalus is not an Indian at all. Still there's Indian of As the Shkach Oliver said, that's the Shvegim Kenkashis that should stem dafka from the Indian Amor Shabbatzmas, dafka from the Indian Amor. The Gabi there's no questions at all. The fact that comes from Amor, and what is and that's the Chorah Davar Mukhrach. Means the Izgalus Amor. So that comes from the fact that the Makar is Natnu of Gilui. Yeah. From where does come from? The fact that the Makar is Natnu of Gilui. The fact that so that's the Makar in a certain mode. The fact that he's a Makar of Gilui. The aspect of the Makar which is not connected to Gilui, from dort kommt nicht That's all in Evrahim can sagen as the guy with the Eibishter is beyond the whole system. He created the whole system. So this idea that is mechayev, that he should be a Moir, that the Makar is Bezgalas, who said it's Mukhrach? It's not. But what's Oliver saying? That
there should be That is what is.
Oliver saying that should be in a eifin that should come by eifin of min amor. Means that it should be moving up Yiseichel.
Once you have that's what has to be.
No,
that is the
that's
whole
not what I'm saying. No. When you have
there should be
no. There's no kashas.
There should be
that the should be in a eifin that it should be apiseichel the Indian of The Indian of apiseichel is that it's nimshach from the fact that the makar is bizgalos. The kavana al yena is that the shouldn't come mitzad hedra, mitzad the higher than say higher than Seder Shalosh. It should be according to the gdarim of the mitzias of The gedra lamata is stems from the fact that the makar is bizgalos, and azam cert evens al zayin lamayla. So it can't say anders. They is not mukbal in any club. But the kavana al yena is that the Indian lamayla should be mitzad the gdarim of And the Gdarim of is, the way the Eibishter created the Gdarim of is that it's Nevea mitzad the fact of the Makar. That's the Azei Fashtemer, the Musik of The Kavan al Yena is that the Lamala should be Nimshach, also on a Eifin of that it should be Api Seder, Api Gidra Mitzias. Api Gidra Mitzias, the Tnu of stems from the fact that the Makar is in a Eifin of in a Tnu of his Galus. We'll see that. That's already, but what for a different reason. In Yan, stems from the fact that the Makar is Bizgalis. That means comes from the Tnu of Moir. Ebazei, why does Taka have everything? Doesn't Balzen. But I think this line is in a way. It says, Kol Yan Milim Shachim Gamber. Rak Asher Kach Ole Berseni is Barach Asher Sharia in Yan Yu Behel Vehester. Rak in Ha'er Vagili Yiba Begili. But that's what do you mean? Is the Gili. But all the Gdarim are in the Schatz and Seder Shashlis. Alt is Apisech. So it can sein Veifanacher. The Kavanah Yena is that the Inyan should be in a Eifin that the way Eid is mitzad Gdarim of Seder Shashlis. Mitzad Gdarim of Seder Shashlis, Eid is Nimshach from Eid is Gili Hamor, which is Nimshach from the aspect in the Mor that the Mor is in the Tnu of Gili, Tnu of his Galus. And not from the Makar the way he is not connected to the Tnu of his Galus. Ebazei, why are other Inyan and Nimshach in there? Why are all other qualities of Asus in Gal? Doesn't Balzin. But you get where we're holding. Lass mir ein bisschen reden, ein paar Wörter, weil nicht. Lass mir sagen. Bereil ist wo ist der Reihe? That all in Yonim an das Galen you am mal gelernt die in Yonim? Sie das erste Mal zum lernen das. Gelernt einmal. Not the Maim, I'm saying these in Yonim. Ein bisschen gelernt einmal. Okay. Bereil ist in der Savas Ishmael. Bereil ist in der Savas. There is a Reihe. That all in Yonim, all say qualities, so to speak, that Atzmas possesses, Ali Ifanim, Ali Nanim and Atzmas, Ver Nizgal in Eir. They come to, they're materialized and they're expressed in Eir. Alt. Wo sagt man das? Weil es mir ist, habe ich mal ein Wort, wie gesagt, Kodesh, steht in der Geschichte, Yesh, Eir, Mein, Amor. So where's Alter Rebbe in time? Where's Alter Rebbe in time? The Eibishter, the Havos Hayesh. The Yesh Me'ayin Ve'eves HaMuchad Mamash. The Eibishter created a Metzias which has no continuation to its source, to its mother. Yesh Me'ayin Ve'eves HaMuchad. The Metzias Habriya is a Yesh which has no continuation to a mother. Anayazach. Doesn't express, doesn't have any, you can't trace it back to anything. A new thing, a new entity. Yesh Me'ayin, Ver Ken Mahavas and a Yesh Me'ayin Ve'eves HaMuchad, only Atzmos, which he himself is not connected to any Ilah V'Siba. As is Alter Rebbe in time. To create a Zastert Nivra, which has no Ilah V'Siba, doesn't come in continuation to anything, could only be an Indian which also has no continuation to anything. Ainly Ilah V'Siba Shekad. Now, this Indian of the Atzmos is ainly Ilah V'Siba. Every other Metzias comes from somewhere. He's coming to express something. He's here, his Metzias exists because of a certain function. A Svara with an Elam HaSeichel, you have a Svara. It means it comes in a continuation to something. In the world of emotions, you have an emotion of Chesed, an emotion of Yira. If there's no category of emotions at all, so every Indian has an ilah v'siba shekadmali. Its Metzias exists within a certain framework. Mashiach and the Eibishter is not only ilah v'siba shekadmali. There's him. This Indian has an that's like this Indian is an Indian of Mar. The fact that he's begilui. That's a whole different Indian. The fact that only ilah v'siba shekadmali. The fact that he's begilui, the fact that Atzmos is bizgalos, doesn't express this Indian and is not neveya from this Indian. What stems from the fact that Atzmos is only ilah v'siba shekadmali? What's going to express that? What stems from that? The Indian of Yishma'ayin expresses that, let's say. Which is what's that the Makar is begilui. So it's the fact that the Makar has a Tnuah Sagili. Not that the Makar is only ilah v'siba shekadmali. What's up to these So, Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that this Havos is a Yidea B'keach Atzmos. Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that this Havos, it's not the Prati Advarim, but the Alter Rebbe says there that this Havos is not directly through Atzmos, but the Keach Atzmos is Nizgale in and through this Havos is through the Gili of the Keach Atzmos, through the So the Alter Rebbe says there's the Lashon Vur B'Geras HaKodesh. The reflects the Mar. That means that the Inyanim of the Mar, the is a reflection. Or his galus of the Meir. So lachein hu mahavi yesh ma'ayin ve'efes hamuchlit. The fact that this havos ayidei. So the shaila is hari inin ais havos sheba atzmos. Any was inin amar sheba. See the Rebbe's lashon here. Inin ais havos sheba atzmos. Any was inin amar sheba. From wann entstammt es the Eibishter's yachal havos? Because he's not mukbal to be an eifin of etzim. He could also be begilui. Because the mockers, his havos stammt from the fact that in Elokus there's the skula of being bezgalus. Nicht von dort kommt in den Eishavos. In den Eishavos kommt mitzad Yesei Beire. It's another quality. The Eibishter has the mile of being a Beire, being Mahavi Yishmael. And kommt doch nicht von dort. Is not neveah from the fact that Atzmos is a Beire. Is not a Dabar Chodesh. Doesn't stem from the fact that the Eibishter is b'yacholti lahavis. Stems from the fact that the Eibishter is b'yacholti lahoyer, not the fact that yacholti lahavis. So what does express? The aspect of lahoyer which exists in Atzmos, not the aspect of creation which exists in Atzmos. And after we say, we come in his end Nimshach Bayer. And steht in the Gersa Kedesh Rabbos because Mein Amar. But the shaila is Mein Amar, not Mein Ha'etzem, which is not Mar. What does Mein Amar mean? Is the fact that the Makar is Bezgalus. But his Havos stammt from them, but the Makar is Bezhavos. The fact that the Makar is a Beire, not that the fact that the Makar is Begilui. What's with Mein Amar? That the is his galus of the Makar. The Makar Bezgalus. But his havas comes from the fact that the makar is a begilui. His havas comes from the fact that the makar is a beire, that he creates, not the fact that the makar is begilui. No different through it. So which is neveah from the fact that the makar is a moir, vi faranen and the din of his havas. So what's the pshat? So the Rebbe says here. The Rebbe says a different word. Tak as mein amor. But the Rebbe says, "Kavana b'zeh liyesh ba'atzmas ein yeshayich l'chalik in amor sheb'leshari inyanim l'chein liyesh mein amor mein kol inyanim sheba'atzmas." I just want to bring up one point that the Rebbe is saying here. The Rebbe is saying, what's air? Air is mein amor. What does it mean air mein amor? Not that the air is something which is similar to something else, which has similar tchunas to something else. Air mein amor is that the air is this galus hamakar. So since the fact that Atzmos is amor is not a separate aspect in him, detached to the fact that he's a Beir. In Atzmas, Alts ein Inyan, Alts ein Mahus. The fact that there's the fact that he's a Moir. There's the fact that he's a Beir. So Alts emes. But all these Inyanim are Chad in Atzmas. Since the Eir reflects the fact that his galus of the fact that Atzmas is a Moir, since the Moir, which the way it is in Atzmas, is one with the other Inyan. The Mele, since Eir Mein Moir, the Eir contains everything. We're not saying that Eir contains everything because Eir is not the gather of Eir is not the way Eir is Lamata, which just stems from the fact that the Makir is a Moir, but Eir Lamaila is nothing because the Eibusher is not Mugul, Mele Shtei Begidder. Eir Mein Moir, since the Moir Shabbat is Chad with all other qualities, so the Eir is it's the Moir, it's the Eibusher's the element of Moir Shabbat being open, being Bizgalas. That's Eir. The fact that the Eibusher is a Moir. The Makir's the fact that he has the quality of a Makir being Bizgalas. That's what Eir is. This Galas HaMoir Shabbat. Since this Moir is not limited to being Dafka Moir, he's also a Beira. The Mele and Eir, which is the reflection of his Moir, is Faran Ali Inyan. Then Viram Adavar Hazeh. No, why should it be a stir? Eir Mein Amor, and the Moir Shabbat is Kela. It's not a stir to Eir Mein Amor. Eir stems from the fact that he's a Moir. The fact that he's a Moir, he's a Moir, is a Moir which is Chad with Beir. We're not saying in the Poel Altsbert is Gal in Eir. Helim Ali and Yanam which exist in the Kuss are they say they're the Eir. They're Nizgal in Eir. The Metzias is a musik of Helim. Let's say the Eibusher hides himself. Factually, there's Helim. It's Begilui. I mean, there's the Atzmas is Helim. It's beyond Gilui, but there's a Mishem Elakim which is Begilui. That's also Eir. That's the fact that it's Begilui is through Eir. Everything comes Bizgalus through Eir. So the Chayy going to say, so Eir Inyani is not Inyani, so the Chayy going to say, Eir doesn't stem from the fact that the Makar is Begilui. Eir stems from it, even that aspect of the Makar which is not Gilui, that's also Nizgal in Eir. That means that Eir Inyani is not expressing the aspect of Gilui of the Makar. Eir is Chlal. Just everything which exists should be open, not the aspect of Gilui. The Rebbe says Nishas. Eir is Neveah from the fact, the aspect of Gilui which exists in the Makar. Since the aspect of Gilui which is in the Makar is Chad with other Inyanim, so Eir, which is a window to the Moir Shabbatzmas, but Mela hatten Zechal. Because the Moir Shabbatzmas hatten Zechal.
So what's not committed?
What do you mean, what's not committed?
If it's inside the Rotzman, inside the
Because but Safka Sav, the Eir is Safka Sav Neveh, not mitzad the Etzam, mitzad the fact that the Makar is in the Tnu of Gilui. We're never going to leave that. That the Eir, the Metzias Eir expresses, in Yani of Eir is Moir. Since the Moir is Chad, the Eir is going to contain other Inyanim, but that's not his Inyan, it's not his Metzias. His Metzias is Eir is Mein Amor, Eir is Gilei Amor. Since the Makir Racht Alts, not that Inyani is not Moir, Inyani is Moir, but mainly his Metzias is Gilei, Inyani is Gilei. And that's Inyani Atzmi. Since the Moir Shabbat Atzmas is not limited with Dafka Moir, but mainly is Alfaran. But it's not going to change what's Inyani of what Eir is. We'll see the Nafkamina is going to bring Kama Pratim. Huh? Good, that's enough Indian, that the Moir Shabbat Atzmas is not say by a person, doesn't verstehen, but I don't know if you go into every single practice, then it's not. But I'm saying that they say the simple, when you get a personal marshal, you say, I was saying before, you say the Shemesh has the Inyan of Mar. Why does the Shemesh, or the Nefesh contains this quality of Mar? The Chayis HaNefesh is not limited to be Dafka Na'efan of Etzim, it could also be Begillah. Why is it that the Inyan of Chayis, that Nefesh contains the Ma'il of Mar? Because the Gabi the Inyan of Chayis, Moir is a Ma'il. Bleak Vul is an Inyan, the Gabi that Inyan. The fact that Atzmas is a Moir, because the Gabi Atzmas, Bleak Vul is a virtue, it's an Inyan. It's not an Inyan. He's the Makkah for everything. There's no Inyan. But could you say that there's a certain Inyan which he doesn't have? The fact that Eibusher is a Moir is because he's Amitis Ein Sof, not because a Moir is an Inyan. So that Ein Sof which is a Moir is also a Beir. The fact that he's a Moir is not because he's Shaykhas to the Tzir of Moir. Because they're hot out. But maybe that Moir is, okay, that's enough.
That's why you can't say it's only
you can't be Mavdil.
one thing.
Yeah, because the Moir, yeah, that verstehen what's the beat to the Poil. That we'll see in the... Yeah, no, I'm saying it's it's in Yanim that huh? Not Versace. It's it's better to speak in Yana Mugdarim, things that you could actually process as a bissel vague, versus a bissel nicht das macht der Element schlafen ein bisschen. It's a little bit vague in Yana. I don't know, let me get a bissel weiter. Da was gar eintrachten in dem. Oh, let me see. Let's see again. It's not shaykh to say that there's one aspect of him which we said that Bleakville is an Indian. And there's another aspect in Atmos. You say a person. You have a higher element that mitzad that Indian he's seichel. You say different parts of the nefesh. From a deeper element, seichel is an Indian. Mitzad the lower aspect in the nefesh, keich hamayis is Indian. So that aspect of him, which keich haseichel stems from that aspect, midas doesn't come from. That's what we're going to say, right? You see when you get to a person. The keich haseichel comes from the fact that there's a certain edelkeit in the nefesh, and the keich hahilach comes from the fact that he also is able to relate to lower. Does it come from the same aspect? Are you going to say that seichel and hilach come from the same aspect in the nefesh? It's not shaykh to say that Atzmos, the fact that he has the inyan hagilui shabai, that he's a moir, that's from one aspect in him, because he relates to the idea of gilui. And the fact that he's a bayr is another aspect. Atzmos is not mukbul. I mean to say himself. From the same aspect, mitzad the fact that he's nice to hakol. So he's saya moir and saya bayr. The moir stems from the same nekuda of bayr. So there's no chalkus between them. So the moir sheba Atzmos is not detached. It's not an ini b'fnei atzmi outside of the other qualities that exist in Atzmos. Because he's Atzmos, he has everything. The same nekuda which is mechayev, the nekuda moir is mechayev, the nekuda sabayr. So in Azaif, in the air, what's the air? Reflecting the moir. Since the moir is not a moir which is a moir because he's mugbal to that seer. It's because he's Ein Sof, he's b'meila also a moir. So that moir is not going to be detached from the fact that he's a bayr. Bayr and air is going to be the other animals. This is important. Means what's the mitzias of it? What's his megal? Inyani is gili the aspect of an atzmos which is a mer. Stems from that aspect, and that's what is megal. The fact that you have other inyanim in they're hidden there. It's not connected to the mitzias. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so this is when you get there. So the Rebbe is mafli here, the musik of it is gili amakar. This is another important. From Vana, what's important for the hemshech advarim is the mile of it is that there's no other mitzias. It's the makar, and it's the makar neifen of gili amakar. The makar being his gala. But from Vana, from welche tnu and the makar stammt from the makar, the way the makar shaycht in gili, not the way the makar is mufshit from the gili. The whole musik of it is galas amakar. So what is it? It's the makar being begili. So what does contain? From Vana stammt from the makar, the way it's connected to the tnu sagili. That's
what it is, or that's where it's from?
That's where it's from. So only relates not to the atzmi samakar, to the way the makar relates to already a musik to being nizgala, not to the way the makar is ba'atzmi. That's going to be the chisaron of the mile of shame. Good. Omnam inin Hashem. There is 6 now in the mosh. Inin Hashem hu b'chinas hel. Ich wollte sagen, as a verse, when you get a lot of inyanim like this, certain things, it's medarv sich a bissel reintrachten in them. It's not a question of a little talk takes care of the issue. Medarv a bissel reintrachten sich. It's not so the certain things. The talk is just being me'ered them ein a little bit. Just medarv sich reintrachten them. That was when you get to that. Lamer zen weiter a bissel. Oh no, inin Hashem ubchinas hel. Shame is the opposite. Shame is not the makar natnu of gilui, but the makar, the way the makar is ba'atzmi, not a natnu of gilui. So mefirim adavar hazeh. Lamer zeh. So the Rebbe starts. This is Pashat Lamata. Shem Elohim. Hagam. You say a person's name. A person has a name. Hagam shenu yedim shashem b'chinas hachayis. The Pel steht in Chassidus that the name, through the name, is nimshach hachayis. But the fact that through a person, as used to parents give the kid a name, so the nefesh of the ben is nimshach through these isis. But Ava became in the name is not nikar any shaykhs to the mehusa nefesh. which it's its name. Someone's name is, or even a table up is shulchan. You have any muhus of the shulchan that's mizbate begili in the name reflects somehow something of the nature of the table. You can't tell anything in the name of the muhus of the table. Hagan, it's not stam achitzein is gezach. The name is the mokar achayis of the mitzvah of the table, but it's not nikr in the name. The name doesn't reflect the muhus of what's behind the name. So the muhus which is behind the name is ne'elam. It's behalten in the Eisiyas Hashem. Not like which the whole tune of is the mokar being begin. In the there's two problems to remember. The is this galus hamakar. The reflects the makar. He mirrors it. He reflects the makar, and what that's the mile of and what aspect in the makar is the sibur for the fact that the makar is not of his galus. The fact that the makar is a mile. That's what the Rebbe is bringing out. So Shema. So first Rebbe starts speaking to get the Shem. First of all, the name doesn't reflect the one which is the carrier of this name, even though there's a real contact between them. And the chayis comes, but l'poel, the name, you can't recognize from the name the makar, the thing which it's the name of. So the makar is not reflected in this thing. And the maskana is going to be, but the etzem, the way, but the shem is shaykh to the etzem, not in a way is in a tnu of gili. To the etzem, the way he is batzmosei. That's the mile of shem over it. That's going to be the tnuas advarim. In Hashem Knesam, the Gamshin in Hashem Knesam Chayis, Mekom in Chayis Misgala de Hashem. Hein, Gam Hashem is Shloshna Kedesh and Hashem is a scheme. Real names, not stam names in English or other languages, which Amal the Rebbe says in the Maimer. There's also Bashgal Protis. But upon him, the Alter was talking Tanya. Hashem Shloshna Kedesh is not stam names because we have to choose. It's real names. Shayachim Umeidem Al Shershim. And there's holy mudim in Kabbalah how the Asius of Evan have to do with the Muhus, the Chayis of Evan. But that's B'Yurim in Kabbalah. But if you look at the letter Aleph, Beis, and Nun, you're not going to see any connection to a stone and not connection to the Sherish of a stone. We all know the letters Aleph, Beis, and Nun. We have no idea the Sherish Makar of an Evan. What's it all about? We know the word Sher, but we have no idea how the letters Shin Vav Reish relate to Pnei Sherish of Merkava, which is the Sherish of the Sherlamat. We have no idea. Even though it's true that it's Shayach and it's made al Sherish. But Mirzan is the Shayach. It's incredible. Adam Rishon, he knew the secret. He knew the secret how the Asis reflect the Makar. But that's the Alts and Yonim Nelomim. That's the Spezielle Chacham. It's nicht begillt. It's also the Kasher. The Shiyad, the Shasher, the Shasher, Merkava, and Rishara, and Rabbi. Yeah, famous Shadow. What was the big Chachma? That other Avisher wanted to show all the Malachim dirt and how smart Adam Rishon was. He told them that he should give names to all of them. What's the greatest Chachma to give names? The fact to be able to see the Sherish, to be able to see which Asis reflect the Sherish, it's a ganze Chachma. Hashem is and he calls Zeu Behel. That's what I'm saying. It's Behel. Hashem in Megale Klal, the in Nikar Klal Hashem. His other Rishon's Chachma was something he knew the secret, but the shame doesn't reveal it. The name itself, the Aces Hashem doesn't bring it out. Exactly. Yes, we already know before. Hashem is calling Avraham him Kfi Sharsham, and Yechedom Leidas Chilik Yishan Avraham Chilik Yishmeseim. There's something that the Rebbe says. It means it could only la'achri we know. You say in a mashal, you say. Some imitzer zakta drasha. Someone which has no seichel and he's going to hear a drasha. He'll be able to hear the words, but he's not going to hear the seichel which is behind the words. You could have someone that has a very good memory there. He has no idea the language that the people, the dervis read. He'll be able to chazar over what he said if he has a very good memory. He doesn't understand what he said. If you understand seichel, you already know this language and you understand seichel, then you're going to be able to, from hearing, you'll be able to understand. So why do you understand what the person is saying from what he's saying? Because the words contain it themselves. When you hear these words, these sounds, and these havaris, brings you to the Indian, or because you have a shaykhs in Indian before. So Adam Rishon knew the makar not because the Aisius expressed the makar. He knew the makar, so he was able to see it within the Aisius. But if you look at the Aisius itself, it doesn't bring you to the Indian. Aisius are hell. The shame is hell. Oh. This lashon, I don't know, it's interesting because I think it's a Maimer Ata Echot Tavshin Beis, maybe more places. But the Frierdiker Rebbe says there that he brings there this word that the shame is Helen, and he says I Adam Rishon Epes knew the Sherish. So he says that's when you get to the shame kloli of the min, but when you get to shame prati, there's no heker. I think that's the nusach the way it says. There it says a little different. That even when you get to the Shemus Hamin, Adam Rishon only was able to tell the Makar because he already had earlier information from the Aces Gufa Vatanish Guvust. Okay, but good. So beginnen gaan we in de Shema shel kol adam shashem lefeif en achai shbi. Because about was good to be nefesh chayu shmei shashem hu mechaber nefesh baguf. So you have the nefesh itself taka has no names, but what connects the nefesh to the guf is the name that it has. It means his slapshus of the nefesh in the guf goes through these aces. Someone's name is Kovetz Yecheskel Darten, so through these aces is the chibur of his nefesh with his guf. That's easy. The aces of Yecheskel. Kayetz is every person in their personal name. But it's behelim v'ninik klaying. You see the name David, you're going to be able to tell what type of nefesh it is. And in what form his connection to his body is. There's no... Shalachin yeshin kameri adam shishmisem shab. Why? B'kulam hu eisei asherish gevur b'sifrei Kabbalah. Mikom kim chalukim heim, leirak b'inyanim chitzenim. Elegam b'inyanim ikriyim. What do I want to bring out? That the name is not going to express this unique person. This person is totally different. The sherish darton is the same sherish with the different people, and the way the sherish expresses itself in the guf is different, and the name doesn't express that at all. But I have the same name. Oh, so the air who gili. And the Rebbe touches up. Who sha'er atzmi hu mein amar, v'gam ba'davar amur mimenu hu begili kenal. Mashek and Hashem hu hel. It means that the name doesn't reflect the makar. So, and that means that it doesn't stem from the aspect of the makar being begili. That's not where the name stems from. We'll see later. Shalachai sheba Hashem hu behelim. Bein legabe hadover hanikro b'Hashem, u'bein legabe adam hakeres hadover b'Hashem. Others, if you got a person, him calling someone else with his name, say the name doesn't reflect the makar, and say someone else which knows my name is not going to have any kirov to the adam which is behind the name. Oh, omnom yishmayel b'Hashem aler. Eni mamshech zaytzim. Ha'etzem nishar b'mkeimer. V'eni nimshech ba'er. And this connected what we were saying before, because what's er? Er is neveh mitzad the makar being in a true of esgalus, not as etzem ohos. And er is not mamshech the makar. Mash'egen Hashem mamshech es ha'etzem. Where do we see that? Sharei k'shekeirin la'odam b'shmei hu nifne leirag b'nan v'chitzeinim l'gam b'chol atzmosei. When a person's name touches him in a very deep place, touches his etzem ohos. If you call someone's name, you awaken him himself. His etzem you awaken. Nifle k'rei b'shmei. That only a name has. You're going to call. There says here in the next name. There says in the next name that if you chap a person by his seichel, you only chap his seichel, not his etzem. Mashiach, if you call a person's name, the rest eman aleim. It's here or it's in the next name? In the think das? Maybe the next name. But technisch gelernt the next name, yeah. It's here. Not here. No, there was okay. It's not here. Let me say. You can't say that it's just not that the name touches me, that the name is in a very, very deep place. But the name doesn't mean anything to me. People made a decision that we made a hesken, that when you say this and this name David, I'm going to turn to you. Not that the name affects something in me. There was nicht to say. The reason why when someone calls someone else by his name, he turns to him is because the name touches something very deep in a person. The name moves the etzem. It's me'er the etzem. Mashik and is not me'er the etzem. The makar is begili. The makar is begili doesn't touch him. He's not affected by the fact that he's begili. It says, where's the lie? The means that the conscious part of the nefesh is not available. So all the escaping that he made doesn't exist. Say someone wake me up at 6 o'clock and chas v'shalom, there was this alpha. So you can say because we made up, it's not going to work. But an ada she'eni me'elas le'rak achilu ash'sia legam refuah eni me'elas. Kol gim sholeshim le'yishmei ba'oznim amshichem eschayusei. Santa zach. Harei she'Hashem lekeach der nemt u'me'erer se'etzem le'mali yeshegam eni refuah. Zeo milas, this is in Pashan the Mashal. Zeo milas Hashem ala er. Hashem is not. It's not just the ha'ara. It's not the makar being reflected. It's moving him. Sinem ter etzem alein. Yeah. Kim sheyeshni b'zeh. In the name, rishta under etzem. So as if you're going to say that the contains within itself much more of the makar than the name, because it's the gizgalus hamakar. He's projecting himself. He's bizgalus, But his Hinyani Atzmi is not expressed, is not, you don't have in the Inyan Agili. You have the Inyan Agili Shabbat, you have the fact that he's open and he's visible. But his Inyan is not the fact that he's visible. His Etzem Mahos, you have Dafke in his name relates to his Etzem Mahos, more than the Inyan Agili Shabbat. Inyan Agili Shabbat is his Gili. Nish does the name to Etzem Alein. The Etzem Alein is invested more in the name. Even though Mitzad Gilui, the name does not reflect him, but in the Etzem HaMakir is not connected to his reflection. The Etzem HaMakir is connected to dirt where he's not being reflected. That relates more to the Etzem. Doesn't Balzan. He says like this. זהו מה, השם על הער, שהשם נראה כל דבר כמי זהו גם מי שזה בקבל השם נשם סרבנו לסוב, וכי מי נשם סשבי, יש לי ניזם נשם נשם בין albashal. באפשר שגם למעלה מכנס, it says in Kabbalah that side of Hamnuna, and side the Rashbi, and side Moshe Rabbeinu, they're all the same neshama. Why do they have three different names? If they're all the nitzos of Nishmas Moshe, even more than Chinas nitzos. So why do we call them Kenika b'shem Hamnuna, Shimon, v'lei b'shem Moshe? If they're all nitzutzes of Moshe Rabbeinu's neshama, for us haben sie alle verschiedene Namen. So the Teretz says, "V'hu lefi she'inyan Hashem asher mechaber sachayis maguf mezayin guf." Means the neshama itself, the way it's not related to a guf, has no name. The name is mitzad the slapshus of the neshama in a guf. So Rashbi's guf and Moshe's guf and Rabbi Nuna's three different bodies. The shame is on the contact of this nefesh with this guf. That's why each name is different. So the Rebbe is speaking from here. Harei asher Hashem lekeh the nefesh etzem. This could be taken as a raya, so to speak. But I think it's more than that. As raya could be the Chassidus state that that says that once they were learning in the Idra, and the Yonavi didn't come. So why didn't he come? Because he went to help Rav Hamnuna Savar. He went to help Rav Hamnuna Savar. So the shaila is, it says Chassidus, every bris Eliyahu is in a couple of places at the same time. Why when he went to help Rav Hamnuna Savar, he couldn't be by the Idra, he couldn't learn with the Chavraya? Says that in order to do Hamnuna Savi, you have to be mislapish in a guf. And a slapish in a guf, your etzem has to be there. His core has to be there. He can't be mischalik. If it's nitzas of his, he's not malubish in a guf, it's his nitzas. That can say he doesn't have his etzem is not connected to where he is. That's a ha'ara of his. There could be a common mechanism. When it's their slapish in guf, they're named their etzem. So, but it's not stam as a raya. A raya that shame another raya. We're ready about a raya before the fact that when a person faints, the shame, the name has a deep effect on his core, on his etzem. Another raya that the names have to do with the slapshus and guf, and we know that the slapshus and guf is connected to the etzem. It doesn't mention here the Muslim slapshus and guf, but it sounds like that's a shtickle beer. Means azevot me gesagt, where do you have the more his galus on the neshama? Where do you have more the nefesh's inyan? So the nefesh's inyan b'shas the neshama leicht. The way it's lamayla in a guf. The Alter says in Tanya that Av Yira the neshama, the way it's lamayla is shalei be'erech to how much the neshama is nergish in guf. The guf is not a keli, but the gili of the Av Yira achin flying that doesn't express the atzmius of the neshama, even though it's more be'izgalus. That's the makar be'izgalus. The atzmius hotman in the fact that he's able to affect the guf. The fact that the neshama is able to affect his in a guf, even though it's shalei be'erech lower than the way the neshama is be'izgalus. But the fact that his inyan is able to affect something detached of him, that's more da harsh to sein etzem. Vu hatman the etzem, the fact that he's able to affect something which is distant from him, which is detached of him. Azasar zach. So the fact that shame relates to etzem is connected to the fact that the name is made on the nefesh being miskasher with the guf. That's the beer. Means the hisgalus you have more who is mufshit from guf. But the etzem husa elyin, which is higher than gilui, does hatman in the fact that he's present even where it's not big. I'm not saying right. I'm not saying exactly right. You see what the Rebbe is saying here? In Hashem lekeh the net the we're talking a bit better than me. A little the hezbollah advarim could be that Eir is neveh from the fact you see Eir reflects the makar. But the makar, the way the makar is beyond any inyan at all. The atzmis inyan, which is the fact that he's not limited to any inyan at all. That you have dafke and aisis which don't express any teichen. In aisis Hashem which don't express a certain teichen of the nefesh. There you have the etzem which is not limited to dafka a certain teichen v'inyan. Him himself, which is beyond a certain teichen v'inyan. But you get the general gist of the Indian. So upon him, what's the Hemshech Advarmer? The Rebbe, we will the Masber sein, the Indian of Kech, the mile of Kech. In the Kech and the Nefesh, we don't see this. We see the aspect of Helen which exists in Shem that we see in Kech also, and even more than Shem. Name, even though it's Helen, but what is a name? It's a way to relate to a person. It's his name. Kech, we're going to see, is totally detached. It's affecting something else, not his name. In his name, it relates to him. It's just you can't tell the mocker in the name, but the name is not him affecting something outside of it. It's his name, just the inyan chitzaini in him. You can't. The contact of the person to their name is not a visible contact, but it's contact, it's connection. It's his name. In Kayach, it's not about him b'chlal. It's about him affecting a stone. We'll see later the prat. So the aspect of Helam, which is in Kayach, is much lower. But the same way we understand, in Shem we see the mile of that Helam is connected to the Etz, and that we see in Shem. And from that we learn the Gabi Kayach. The same way in the Gabi Shem, even though in the Aesius, there's no Gili of the Maggah. There's nothing from the character of the person that's expressed in the Aesius Hashem. But Dafka the Aesius, even though there's no expression of him, they relate to his own, to his Etz and to his core. Al derech so like about Kayach, we're going to understand. Varaya, that b'shas you call a person's name, Nifna l'kayre b'shmai, the same thing as the Gabi Kayach. Even though Kayach is detached and we don't see any connection to the Nefesh, he's not revealed through the Kayach, but Dafka in the Kayach has to the Etzem Alein. So the aspect, in order to explain, the Rebbe wants to explain the Ma'il of Kayach, but Nafir Maktav and the Ma'il from Shem. From Shem will understand that the fact that the Teichen Elyon is not Meir in the Indian which comes from him, so b'chitzenis it's a lower darga. But Dafka where the Teichen is not begilui, Darten liegt der Etzem. So wir verstehen also the Gabi Kayach the same. That's the Akdama l'chora. I'm saying what I think everybody could say pshat. I'm saying what I think could be the mahalach here.
Does that have anything to do with chayas?
Chayas necessarily. Yeah. No, it would have been chayas.
And the fact that it's able to
no, the fact that the name connects the nefesh to a guf. So on one is it's in chitzaini connecting the nefesh to a guf. Say the nefesh having an impact on a guf is that touches the etzem nefesh more than the inyan agili.
You're saying the fact that that's touching it with chayas.
No, chvesish. That's the hadgosh. I don't think that's the hadgosh. The Edom learned the Maimer. What's the story? We learned this. Okay, so you'll have a couple of days. We'll try Sunday to medafresh azif al-kratzim. So, Well, so good. But we have also Maimer Kemis here. I think that's kedai to look at a Maimer. I think the ace is there. The last sif of the Maimer Ata Echad Tafshin Beis about shame. I think it's because if Hidgar makes the fact that shame is nifra al-kaira about Smusay, how it's an Indian klali that Helen relates to that, and that's the Akdam. He doesn't. That's the Akdam to understand Kayach. You hear what I'm saying? There's this more the Nekuda we want to bring out a certain general teichen with the musik of shame. That vu hat med der etzem not in inyanim which beteichen hagoli you see him. There where teichen where there is no teichen goli. That relates to that. As it doesn't touch the rest. So I'm saying that word that we want to bring out with shame a general nekuda that darten was a zesach the gilei nefesh. It's connected to the etzem that you have a little bit. I think there's aces there. Ken zayin is good. There might sign here a sichel could design. Darten steht tegen das apart. I think I don't remember exactly what it says there, but chelik zayin. Wurde mit sein in Hashem und Meile shel Hadam. Was steht dort? Niemand hat geguckt. Chelik zayin. Anybody looked at what it says there? But that doesn't say what it steht. I think I'll could be out there.